Real quick, before we continue with the episode, I want to let you know that if you're a creative person who wants to share your creative gift or whatever you're passionate about with other people and create an online community, a podcast is an amazing way to do it. And you can start a podcast today with Anchor by Spotify. It's such an easy way to make a podcast. Trust me. I'm not a tech person and I did it. So if I can do it, honey, you can too, okay? Anchor has tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. And you can host on Anchor and it will distribute your podcast to platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. So you don't have to worry about, uploading your podcast to all these different sites. And it's everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. And it's 100% free. So there you go. Let's go. Start your podcast, create your online community, download the Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, without further ado, let's continue. Welcome to the Creatively by Estelle podcast. My name is Estelle Avberry and I'm your host. This show is for creative and performing artists, and this is your space to feel creative, to feel inspired and motivated every single week, and to be given tactical tips and tools for you to reach your creative goals and fulfill your purpose as a creative person. You are welcome here. Let's get into the episode. Hi, creative. How are you doing? What's going on? Thank you so much for listening to the Creatively by Estelle podcast. You are welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. As always, today I just want to give you a word of encouragement. I mean, I feel like I'm always trying to give a word of encouragement. But today I want to remind you of how valuable you are, of how needed you are, of how significant you are. And I want to help you believe in yourself again, which is something that I feel like we all need a reminder about from time to time, to really believe in who God has made us to be as creatives, as performers, as artists, or aspiring, if you're aspiring to be a creative person, to be more creative, to use your gifts in the performing arts, then yes, sometimes it's really hard to believe in yourself, especially if you haven't done something in a while or you haven't done something ever. Maybe you're just starting to jump into this creative thing and you're not really sure of yourself quite yet. That's okay. We all feel that way. And I don't think that should be what limits you or what stops you from using your gifts. But I think that there are some things that we can do to really start to believe in ourselves. And by believing in yourself, I don't mean that you hold yourself in the highest of esteems and you are above everyone and everything else. By believing in yourself, I mean that you believe in who God has made you to be and who God is making you to be. And you believe that who God is making you to be is for the best, right? And that is a good thing. And that who you are in the process of becoming is a good thing. And you believe that you are able to do what you're called to do, like that you are actually able to do it, not by your own strength, but by the grace of God, of course, right? As I emphasize a lot, but the fact is that you have to believe that you are able to do something in order to fully do it as excellently and as well as you possibly can, right? So how do you actually believe in yourself as a creative, as a performing artist? It can be very, very hard because you are using your gifts to most likely affect someone else, right? If we are using our gifts in the way that truly God intended us to, it's to glorify Him and to serve others, right? To be a blessing to others in one way or another, big or small. I don't care if it's like this huge, giant thing that you're doing or just a tiny way that you're just inspiring someone, bringing a smile to someone's face, or making someone think deeply about something, or just bringing them comfort through whatever your gift is. It all has an impact and it's all important. And yeah, the enemy would really love for you to feel like you aren't impactful, or for you to not really feel like you're able to, do anything with the creative gifts that you have because maybe you feel like they're insignificant, or maybe you feel like you are insignificant if you're not able to do X, Y, or Z, or because you don't have such and such training or education or whatever. And I just want to remind you that those, whatever those thoughts are about you not being enough, or you not being good enough or not able to do X, Y, or Z, those are lies that the enemy would love for us to believe. And um yeah, they're just not the truth, right? You are loved, you are valued, and you are significant, even just you yourself. And then on top of that, God has given you all these gifts, beautiful gifts. One, two, three, however many gifts they are, they're still beautiful, and they were given to you by this incredible God, this creator, the ultimate creator, right? And you have these creative gifts, these creative desires that you have for a reason, right? And so when you start to really believe that, and you start to remind yourself that, oh, like I have these gifts for a reason, for a purpose that might be beyond me. Like it might not even just be for my own enjoyment, like that's crazy. Even if it's just to affect one other person, that is significant because that other person is significant too, right? And so if you affect one person, that is so important. Even if one person listens to this podcast, to my show, then it was worth it. If that one person is inspired or changed or impacted, or that one person decides that, okay, they're going to pick up, their pen again and start writing the play that they've had on their heart to write for so long, and now they're going to do it, and they're actually going to put in the work to grow their gifting, their creative gifting. My job is done. Like I'm happy. I don't need it to be 1,000 million or whatever people. Even if just one person is impacted, that means that I'm using the gifts God has given me, and being able to impact one person, that means that that is, to the glory of God, right? Praise God for that. And so even if you're just impacting one other person with your gifting, that's amazing. So when you start to remind yourself and you start to realize that you have the ability to impact, that you have the ability to use your gifts, and that is really where it all starts, with really believing in yourself. But we're going to go through a couple things that I think could really help, that I think you could consider when it comes to how you can really believe in yourself as a creative and performing artist. Like I said, the enemy would love for us to feel unloved, unvalued, insignificant. And yes, in the sense that we are merely human, that this incredible God of the universe made and loves. Yes, in that sense, we are very small. We're literally these tiny blips, this teeny tiny short lifespan that we have on this earth, which in the grand scheme of things, like compared to eternity, is literally nothing. Like it's just like here and gone. That's what the Bible says, right? That life is like a mist, it's here and gone, right? But at the same time, the fact is that we are made in God's image and loved by this incredible God. And He made us in His image for a reason, right? And He sees us as so valuable, right? Because He made us and He loves us. So you are loved by this incredible God. He planted something in you that must come out, right? You will always have this calling that God has given you, because you have creative gifts, right? And He wants to use them for His glory. And in one way or another, that can look like vocationally, that could look at like a side hustle, that could look like, serving in the church, like serving in your household, that could look like serving in your community, that could look in like so many different things. But the fact is that these gifts will have to come out, right? Because God has planted them in you for a reason. And so, in order to really believe in yourself and your gifts, I just want you to consider three things, right? The first thing I want you to consider is knowing and believing God first and foremost. And I share this because I know God personally has been the one to really just show me who I am and help me to believe in myself, believe in who He has called me to be in a way that I could not have done on my own. So I genuinely know from experience that this is where it really starts, is like knowing Him and believing Him taking him at his word, right? Believing what he says about you in his word. And I really recommend finding a word or a passage in the Bible or a verse that you really like, that encourages you, that emphasizes what God says about you. My verse is 2 Timothy 1:7, which says that for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind, or self-discipline, different translations, right? And so that's my verse that reminds me that I am powerful. I have a spirit of love for others, myself, and ultimately God. And that I have a sound mind by the grace of God, right? I'm able to discipline myself. I'm able to, put in the work that I need to do to accomplish different goals that God has given me. I am able to think, critically, like all those things I have in me because of God. And that's what God has given me. He hasn't given me fear. He hasn't given me timidity. And so that's a verse for me that I put on repeat, and it really helps me to believe in myself in the sense that I don't, not that I, in the sense that I think I'm like, you know, the number one star in the world. But although my name does mean star, so there's that. But not in that sense, but in the sense that like God loves me and he has given me this spirit that isn't fearful. And that is the fact. Like it's like believing that truth about who you are and reminding yourself over and over and over again will help you to believe that, oh, this is who I actually am. And it actually isn't humility to put yourself down and be like, oh, I'm not, I'm nothing. Like I don't have any gifts, or, oh no, like I don't have, I can't make any impact. That's not humility, because God actually has given you gifts. So it's actually a lie. God has given you gifts and he does want you to do something with them. And it takes a lot of courage and humility to say, okay, I'm going to use these gifts, not for my own, happiness or just to make me happy in my own little bubble. I'm just going to keep them to myself. But it takes humility and courage at the same time to say, okay, God, what do you want me to do with these gifts? And so, and that, and that comes from that place of really knowing God and believing him for his word, and believing that he does have these gifts in, that he's put in you, and that he does love you, and that he sees you as, beautiful and made in his image and fearfully, wonderfully made, all these things, right? So I really encourage you to find a word or a passage that really speaks to your heart about who you are in the way that God sees you, and really put that on repeat. Write it on a piece of paper, put it up by your desk, by your dresser, or whatever, right? And remind yourself of it over and over again until you start to believe it with every fiber of your being, because that is the truth. Not all those lies about how you're not worthy, or you're not good enough, or you don't have any talents, or no, 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 no. Those are lies, honey. This is the truth, right? So let's hold on to the truth and remind ourselves of that. I'm loving this episode, but real quick, I want to talk to you about planning. If you are a creative, planning is a crucial part of you fulfilling and accomplishing your creative dreams, desires, and goals that God has given you. So I really recommend the Horatio Printing Dream Planner. My 22 Horatio Printing Dream Planner is the most beautiful planner I've had in my entire life, okay? It comes in black, it comes in marble, it comes in blush. It's so pretty. The paper is so thick and beautiful. You will love this planner. And it's basically a planner and journal in one. It has opportunities and places for you to write down your generosity planning, how you want to be giving in the new month, in the new quarter. It has places for you to write down your praise reports, to dig deep into your fears, and to write down Bible verses to help combat them, and so much more. It helps you to divide your life into different areas and how you want to grow in them each quarter. So you really want to get this planner if you need help planning towards your creative goals and dreams. The Horatio Printing Dream Planner is the way to go, okay? So the link is in the show notes below as always, but you can just go to HoratioPrinting.com and enter the promo code creatively10, that is CreativelyY10, 10. That's the promo code just for you to get this dream planner and plan out your life for 10% off. Okay, so you can go to the show notes below, or you can go to HoratioPrinting.com and enter promo code creatively10. All right, let's get back to the episode. My second thing is to know yourself. Like, gets a little bit more, even more like into the tactical, right? It all starts with God, knowing God, but then also know yourself, right? Like, what do you actually like to do? What do you not like to do? What are you actually good at? Like, actually be real with yourself. It's really self-awareness. Like I said, like that verse says, he's given us a spirit of a sound mind. So like you can be self-aware, right? You can say, okay, like this is actually what I'm good at. Like this is what people have told me they like that I do this for them, or like people ask me to do this, right? People always ask me to sing. People always ask me to, help teach dance to their kids or whatever, or people always ask me to play piano. Whatever it is for you that you have talents in and that you've actually like done before, and you can do it better than average, then like that's something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's something that you can pour into and build up and grow in, absolutely. But like start with just like, what am I good at? What are the gifts that I have that I've like to do and that I've actually grown in a little bit? Because if I've grown it in a little bit, I can probably grow in it more if I put in more work. But that's another topic. But like, what do you love? Like, what are the things that you love to do? And then what are the gifts that you actually have, that you actually, not just what you love to do, but what you can do, because we all love to do things. We all are passionate about different things, but like, what are you also good at and that actually benefit not only yourself but other people? Like other people benefit from those gifts. And I would recommend that this is an exercise I've heard a lot, which is that you take a second, think back to a time where you felt most like yourself and you loved what you were doing and you felt like you were being exactly who you are and you were being exactly who God has made you to be the most, right? What were you doing? Where were you? What were you doing? What were you like? What was going on in that moment, right? What is what is that time where you felt most like yourself and most like who God made you to be? What were you doing and where were you? I can think of one time that I just always think of. It was this time right before I started college. I did these 2 weeks at the Community Theater of Greensboro, and I was in this junior, like 2 week, I guess it was a camp. And at the end, we were putting on a show, Thoroughly Modern Millie, and I was in the show. And for those 2 weeks, we worked from like 9 a.m. to like 6. I can't even remember what the times were, but it was like basically all day. Maybe not 6, maybe like 3 or something. I can't remember, but it was like all day. And I just remember those 2 weeks being like two of my favorite weeks. Obviously, I've had so many incredible moments and weeks in my life, right? Time with family, time with friends and loved ones that I've loved. But when I think about like when I was like doing something that I felt like so alive, right? Most alive and most like, oh, I was like doing exactly what I love. And it was getting to work on that show, getting to do, we would work on the music, we work on the singing, then we'd go to our dance, we work on the choreography, we practice that, and then we would go to, actually running through the scenes and working on our blocking and our acting and everything like that. And it was just so much fun to do all of those things. And then I'm getting to do the costumes. And we were, when you're doing a show that quickly, everyone is like all hands on deck, working, helping on, you know, with the set, helping with costumes, makeup, and everything. And it was just so fun. This was like the epitome of creativity for me as a 17, or was it? Yeah, 17-year-old. So I just think like whatever it was for you, it could be something like that, as small as that, or like it could have been like a whole year for you or a day for you, whatever it was, think back to that time. And I think that'll really help you to gain some self-awareness about the things that you love to do and that you're good at. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of that, like I could have been like, okay, like that was fun, but it's whatever. But I mean, I got feedback. I got positive feedback. I got things that I could work on. The director, the choreographer, right? Things that I needed to do better that I could actually work on. You know what I mean? And so that was very helpful for me to have that feedback. And so, yeah, it strengthened my self-awareness that, okay, like I'm actually like, I'm okay. I'm pretty good at these things. Like I can work on these things in in these different ways, but like I have some natural talent in these areas. So, yeah, self-awareness is key. So I think the second thing to consider is knowing yourself. And as you start to think about that, you're like, "Oh, I actually love doing that and I was pretty good at that." So maybe this Estelle girl hasn't been lying to me and I actually do have creative gifts that I can start believing in myself that like, yes, I'm able to do this thing that God has given me. So I hope that helps. So that's the second thing. And then the last thing would be kind of in conjunction to that, like knowing yourself. So, what is that gift, right? What is that thing that you know, were able to pinpoint that you love to do and that you're able to do well? And then start doing more of that because it's the more that you do something that you gain confidence. The more you do something, the more confident you're going to gain. What? What did I just say? The more confidence you're going to gain, right? So think back to when you just started walking as a child, okay? Obviously, I don't know who actually remembers that. No one really does. But or if you ever seen a child start to walk, okay? We all had to practice, right? We didn't just like we weren't just all perfect at walking when we first started. You walk, you might start walking a little bit, then you fall, and then you get back up again, right? And so it took time. You're able to walk, like that is a privilege, first of all, if you're able bodied in that way. And so like if you have that privilege, like that's something that you weren't perfect at from the jump, and you can apply this to anything that you've done ever in your life, like almost everything. And so it's the more that you do something that you gain confidence in it and that you are able to believe in yourself. So if you are able-bodied, you believe that when you stand up, you are able to walk from one place to another, right? And you can use any other example, right? Whatever it is, obviously it depends on who you are and what you're able to do, but like you whatever it is, whatever the example is that you want to use, you gain confidence the more you do something. And so whatever it is that your creative gifting is that you love to do, that you've pinpointed, that you enjoy and that you're able to do more of it, even just a little bit. And the more you act, the more your faith will grow, right? The more you do something, the more you will believe that you can do it and that you can do it well as you continue to work on it. And the more that you see how what you do can impact other people, right? And so doing more of it, even a little bit every day, even a little bit every week, whatever the case is, the more you are going to believe in yourself, right? The more that you're going to be able to say, oh, I can do this because I've done it before and I've done it again and again. And yes, I made this mistake, but I did this well this time, right? And again, that goes back to number two, right? Knowing yourself, self awareness, right? Is important. At the end of the day, the more you do that, creative action, whatever your craft is, the more you work on it, the more you're going to believe that, yes, this is what I was made to do. This is something that I am able to do. And the more that you're going to believe in yourself because you're going to see how it impacts other people in one way or another. Whatever that way is, small or big, once again, it's all meaningful. And after all of these things, knowing and believing God and what He says about you, knowing yourself, actually being honest about who you are, what you're able to do, and then acting on that, doing more of that, even just a little bit. I truly believe you will believe in yourself more and more as you go through this, right? And this is a process. And I feel like it's something that you continue to work on. You continue to remind yourself, oh, this is what God has said about me. Oh, this is what I know about myself. I know I can do this. And as I do this more and more, I believe in myself more and more. Let me act on this even more, right? Let me take it to another level, whatever that looks like. And so it's like a continual process. And like I said, it always starts with knowing who God has said that you are and believing in that, right? And then you're going to believe in yourself more as you see yourself impacting, inspiring, blessing other people with your creative giftings. Okay. So I hope that really helps to remind you that you are so valuable. You are needed. You are important to the God who made you and loved you. And of course, to so many people in your life. So yeah, I hope that's a good reminder to you. Go out, go do these things, right? As you do these over and over again, you will start to find that confidence, that belief in yourself as a creative, as a performing artist. And I can't wait to cheer you on as you do that. So let me know if you start doing these things and you see changes in your life, in your, the way that you see yourself and your perspective of yourself, right? And of your creative gifts. Let me know if this actually helps you. That would be amazing if you could DM me on Instagram at Estelle F. Berry. You can send me an email at estellefberry@gmail.com. Message me through my website at creativelybyestelle.com. Facebook, you already know. It's all in the show notes. So let me know what you thought of this episode, or you can leave a review. That blesses me as well. So just let me know if this actually helps you, because I would love to hear testimonies. I would love to hear if these steps, knowing and believing God, knowing yourself, and doing more of your creative gifting actually really help you to believe in yourself more as a creative and performing artist. And with all that being said, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you so much. You could also share in the Facebook group what you thought of this episode, or if this is actually working for you and helping you as well. That would be amazing. And it can encourage other people as well. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate you. And thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creatively by Estelle. I hope you feel encouraged by today's episode as you start this week. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to just share this episode with a friend if you liked it, or with someone who you think this could be encouraging to. It would really help this show. Also, if you really loved this episode, if you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts and leaving a review and rating this show, it would really help us reach more people through this show and grow our Creatively community. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.